how to sing a song from his favorite musical, Godspell. We sang Day by Day using American Sign Language. In Project 9, Persuade with Power, we learned about the different ways to touch a person and to be a little touched in the head, if you remember. Tonight, it's Project 10, Inspire Your Audience. Please welcome Vinny with By My Side.
¿Cómo está usted?
Hola.
Estoy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú? Muy bien, gracias. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guest. 4 years of Spanish. You got about 50% of my vocabulary. The rest of it comes from words that I probably shouldn't use here, and are better translated in I speak them better in Italian, so, and I don't speak Italian at all either. The reason I started that way is because I mentioned in my other speeches that I went to an Encounter with Christ weekend. And one of the things that I learned was one important word in Spanish that pretty much changed my life for about 30 years down the road. I didn't realize how important that word was. As I mentioned before, my first encounter, there was a gentleman named Paul Christian, and he's the person that taught us day by day. That was great. Paul was the assistant coordinator, and he got to talk about, present his speech that was entitled, God Don't Make Junk, I'm Lovable. Fortunately, that's something that I got the privilege of doing about 4 years later. In that speech, naturally, you talk about things that are different, I guess, the best way to say, about yourself. And how, no matter how other people say it, it's a good thing. You're special. You're loved, no matter what. The best part about that is that after that speech, probably about 3 hours later, you're presented with letters. Letters from people that are either friends, possibly family members, possibly even total strangers, because I've written some letters to people that I didn't even know. And in the letters, they're a metaphor for what's that Spanish word that I was speaking about. The word itself is called planca. Does anybody speak Spanish? Good, then I seem like an expert. The reason I might be pronouncing the word wrong, but planca is the way that I've learned it. Planca in English means lever. Lever. Levers are used to move heavy objects. Now, I'm a kid at heart. I remember the old Roadrunner cartoons. There was always a boulder in the middle of the street, and the coyote wanted to roll that boulder over the cliff and squash the Roadrunner. He'd take a rock and put it behind the boulder, and he'd stick a big branch in there, and either he'd lift up or push down to try to move the boulder, that heavy object. And usually in the cartoon, he'd jump on that lever, and the boulder would go straight up in the air and conk him on the head. I love slapstick, Three Stooges, things to that nature. But this lever is a little bit different. You can imagine an Encounter with Christ weekend. The lever is to move a person closer to God. The letter is a metaphor for the lever. Again, in the other speeches, I talked about working with the Godspell, working on a Godspell. I tried for a part. I wasn't talented enough. So painting, swinging a hammer, that was good. The reason I mention this is because in the letter that I received, I was very surprised that this very effort came back to, I don't want to say haunt me, but it made me think a lot. My friend Pete Murphy actually wrote the letter to me. And he brought up how much I inspired him. Now, I'm not going to call it false anything. When people tell me something positive, I inspire you, I love you, things to that nature, I just don't believe them. Especially in the inspire part. That just doesn't seem like something that I was capable of doing. But Pete wrote how I inspired him. He says, I see you walking around campus. You're on crutches. Somebody offers to carry your books. You hit them with your crutch. Get out of my face. I don't need your help. I'm looking at Dennis because he's kind of accused me of doing that too. That inspires him. Snow on the ground. People offer to carry your books. You push them into the snowbank. Get away from me. Things like Godspell. You support your friends. Intramural sports. You're on the roster of every single team. It boggles my mind. You actually were the person that caught the winning pass on a trick play that put us into the Super Bowl for intramurals. These are not things that you normally you see people on crutches doing. You inspire me. Again, that was all very, very nice, but for some reason I just don't believe those kind of things. But then in the letter he continues. In Godspell, there's a song. The title is By My Side, hence the title of the speech. And there's a lyric in the song. I'll put a pebble in my shoe and watch me walk. I will walk and walk. We will call the pebble Dare. We will talk together about walking. Dare shall be carried. And when we both have had enough, I will take Dare from my shoe, singing, Meet Your New Road. I love Godspell. That was a song that just makes me cry. I just love that song. To move you closer to God, I'm going to put a pebble in my shoe. And until I see you when you come back from the weekend, I will keep that pebble in my shoe. To remind me of all the times that you struggle around campus, or you catch a pass, and you got a smile on your face. And again, you inspire me. Now, I don't know how many people have ever walked around with a pebble in their shoe, but I got to tell you, try it sometime. If it takes you 10 minutes to get that pebble out of your shoe, I'll be surprised. I've done it for other people afterwards. If it's not in the right place, it hurts. Every time I feel that pebble, I'm going to say a prayer for you. I'm going to think about you. And just pray that you're getting everything out of this weekend that you can possibly get. That touched me. That made me really realize that there is somebody out there that really I inspire. It made me believe. The point that I'm getting at most, it took 30-something, I should have went 30-something, not say how long, but it took about 30 years for that message to finally kick in, to where I realized there are things that I should be doing with my life that are more in line with a sole purpose. I realized that I inspire people, and it's a passion at this point, but it's a God-given gift. And I think Pete was trying to tell me that. We're all touched in a certain way. Touched in the head. Capability of touching people's heart. Some people you can really get warm hugs from. We all have that gift. We all have that passion. We all have something that we can give. It's a benevolent society when you live knowing that there's something that you can do to serve others. Pete inspired me to let my gift shine. He touched me in ways that I've never been touched before. Everybody in this room has that same capability. Walk with a pebble in your shoe. It's not as painful as I made it sound. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinny. Can I have 1 minute for evaluations, please?